Hey, I'm Muffin. Welcome to the first episode of the tour of my Minecraft world. I've been working on this world for nearly 2 years now, and it has many kingdoms all within one larger continent and a sub-island, but within the same Minecraft world. You know, I'd seen many other YouTubers build in many separate worlds for each of their individual builds. But, I always thought, hey, why not just build everything in one larger world and kind of wind the story to connect all the builds and bring it to life? And so that's what I started with. So, where I'm here at the moment is what I named Dawn, kind of being the start of this world, being the dawn. Um, but it was more so named based on the dragon in the area as per my lore, because I enjoy adding a lore to all my builds because it adds a deeper layer. I can build whatnot, but to bring it to life there needs to be some kind of story. I hope that over these future videos that I plan to do, I'll be able to explore this lore and showcase my builds, and just kind of share what I've constructed, so it's just not with me for this entire time. The theme in this world are dragons, and you will see them within the architecture and within just small icons here and there, be it banners or statues or the conduits in this world. And the reasoning for that is that my character, Steve, or whatever his name is, he flew in on a dragon from an external continent and seek refuge here and resided on this very mountaintop. And it's quite similar to High Hrothgar, where Parthenax kind of sits atop the mountain and the Greybeards live there and they kind of take care. So I drew inspiration from that and wanted my own world to kind of show that. And similar to Skyrim, how High Hrothgar kind of overlooks Windhelm at the bottom. I had a city at the bottom as well. So the dragon priests themselves and my character all look after one particular dragon named Dawn, after which this area was named Dawn, just because it was remembered for it. These dragons and the dragon priests hold the same kinds of status as being feared but respected, and people tend to make their way up to here as a sort of pilgrimage, and they bring their food from the bottom to these priests up top that live here to kind of function as a food source for them. You might have noticed the tree that was on that hill, and it's inspired by Lord of the Rings, how initially a tree was taken by the people of Gondor and established as an emblem for themselves, and it was taken from the further continents out west. So similar to that, I also wanted to have that kind of theme in my world, where all of the major kingdoms have a tree to signify their presence within some kind of council of the dragons, which I call it. So so that's Dawn, the mountain inspired by the mountain in Skyrim, and with having it High Hrothgar at the top. So with this kind of long waving road, I wanted to show, it's not a difficult, it's a difficult place to reach, but people tend to go on it, and it's a well-trodden path, and it's kind of in the center of the world, and people from around it come and they bring trades to the village at the bottom. That dragon statue that you just saw on the left is one of the emblems for these greater cities that are part of what I call the Dragon Council. Now we're making our way downhill to Dawnfall, named Dawnfall because the dragon named Dawn happened to land there, and it was seen landing there often, and so got dubbed Dawnfall. Similar to Winds Hill, I wanted to keep a very rudimentary theme to my build, and it kind of paid off because now when I come across a mountain village, a randomly generated village in this world, it resembles, it kind of feels as if a splinter group from Dawnfall went out and using their understanding of architecture, but at a very basic level, made their own copy. And that's how we ended up with all these randomly generated villages. So I think it kind of fits the story of the world. So, yeah, all these builds kind of had a Norse inspiration mixed in with the randomly generated buildings. I'm just walking through the marketplace at the moment, and you'll notice like a church on the right that I'll come to soon. If you guys ever want tutorials or just kind of tips on building, or if you have tips for me as well, just feel free to drop them in the comments. Yeah, but if you want a tutorial, let me know and I'll make one. Now, in this world, I don't really have a set religion, nor have I established there to be a god or not. It's more so that the people themselves believe there to be a deity or multiple deities. But what I wanted to show by religion being in this world is a communal effect between the many separate villages, and how it brings a further layer to people who don't know each other but having some kind of connection. And I really like that and wanted to include that in my world. So when I go to different kingdoms, they will each have their own religious buildings being shared, and there are larger churches throughout the world in which people will go to do pilgrimage. But yeah, that's for a later video where I can show that. This whole world is an ongoing project, it's always evolving. I don't really believe a build can be finished, just because, in real life nothing's ever finished in terms of, a village. It's always expanding, there are more people coming, and so, yeah, I'm always just building more and more here and there, until you'll see like floating buildings. These are stables. I kind of like the design with the gates leading down to a Japanese themed build further. But as we make our way uphill, we come towards what I thought was Norse themed, to the Jarl's house. Wrong way, further up. So yeah, the Jarl resides up here in a kind of keep, but yeah, I didn't feel there'd be much need for a military here, just because it's at the center of all the kingdoms, and at the foot of a mountain that's revered by all. This is meant to be a more of an elitist area where maybe council members or politicians may reside, but further up is the Jarl's house. Now, as I mentioned, these trees are symbols, are emblems for a king's authority. it is to show the rest of the world that even though they don't really understand dragons or even believe in them after the thousands of years of all these buildings being constructed, the what they do remember is the power it holds. And so it still brings fear and reminds them not to challenge those kingdoms that have a tree. And so it's kind of kept. Now, in the shaders I'm using at the moment, I don't really get the effect, but I did a kind of cool thing where, like, in a different shader pack, light would shine through and hit where you're standing, and so it kind of looked as if though you're approaching some kind of holy king or Jarl. I should call them Jarls in this area. But yeah, this is just the upper level, and I'm pretty sure the bedroom's here somewhere. So one of the things was, when researching, that in those times they used their ships and their ship structure to act as their roofing, but I've forgotten to add ships, so that's something I'll have to add. Now, one of the things I really enjoy is medieval and fantasy, coming from, Lord of the Rings or Skyrim. And so there are giants in the background that I'm kind of trying to bring into this world to fit somewhere. But yeah, so this is one of the taverns I made. I think it's pretty good. Yeah. All my buildings are based off of the same concept of creating a frame and then filling in the walls and adding a roof. And so once you kind of nail one, you can just keep making more. And I'd love to make a tutorial on this if you guys are interested in it. But yeah, because of my interest in fantasy and in medieval culture, I bothered to do the interior for this build. It's lagging quite a lot, but yeah, so it's meant to be where, a bard might perform or people will come for drinks, and the upper level are for people to kind of stay the night in. If I can get up. So yeah, upstairs is just where people can sleep the night. Further up in the attic are like food storages and whatnot. In the center column is a chimney. But yeah, so they're all numbered, and you obviously have some rooms bigger and better than others. And Conquest texture pack just does wonders, so I love it. It really fits the theme. One of the things I kind of want to capture with my builds is it livable? And so I look at what things are within a real village or city, and so, food sources or graveyards, for example. And the graveyard concept that I really was interested in this world, or when reading Lord of the Rings, were the Barrow Downs, and how they initially belonged to the Edain and later to Dunedain, were all buried there. But rather than take the kings as a burial within that, I wanted to give them their own little tomb area. And so I sat down and I made a family tree of kings for 3,500 years, and went through, and it's very dark, but essentially made a tomb, and all of them are buried with like their own nameplates. And yeah, it just adds, even though no one will see it, it just adds a further layer to the world. It just brings it more to life, and it feels that it's been lived in. That's one of the concepts that I wish to bring forth in this world. that it is a world that I've just teleported into, not one where I've just gone through and made some builds and jammed it all together. No. What I wanted to do with this being the first build is all these names, all these people. I have a family tree, but essentially the descendants of these Jarls formed splinter groups if they were unhappy or just wanted to go their separate ways, and began to establish the other kingdoms. And so they're all related, and by being part of this Jarl system, being their descendants, they held that right to be a king or be, a pharaoh or whatever, a sultan, and so on and so forth. And then they went on and moved and established their own kingdoms. But yeah, so with the Barrow Downs, one of the things was I wanted each of these stones to kind of symbolize a family, and all the families within this village would bury their own members around their own rocks and kind of create their own little burial grounds and graveyard. Now, the food source for this area is fish and wheat and apples or whatever fruits grow on trees. And this path that I'm following at the moment cuts through this mountain and goes down to the river. And it's a very chill build, not very militaristic. Mainly because the way it's positioned in this world, and I've made maps and kind of planned everything out, and I could share it in a further video or just an explanatory video of the world and the lore and the relations between each kingdom. But the way it's positioned is this river system is protected on either entrance by a naval fleet belonging to a trade city, a city under alliance, and so there's no real threat to Dawnfall or Dawn. So this is one of the fields that I've made, and one of the windmills and the farmhouses. Pretty cool. Farmhouses are a bit basic now, but yeah, I always come back and I'm always pushing myself and trying to improve my builds. This is towards a separate build, so I'll go into those coloured ones later. But yeah, so I'm always trying to push my build to be more complex, and yeah, I hope that you liked the video and would love to see more of my worlds. If you did like it, please drop a like. If you had any comments on what I can do to improve, or what you'd like to see, or any tutorials, or just any questions, drop it in the comments below. And if you would like to follow and see my future videos and be notified, please, if you want, subscribe. Anyways, thank you for watching and hope you have a good day. Bye.